to take a stand, take a stand.
There's two critics these days that I like to follow. Regardless of their opinions, I still love the way they present the opinions. One of these critics uses mostly his voice and his spoken words to articulate his points, while the other keeps those words written down for us to read. Now, for those of you who know the two, you'll be surprised that I'm talking about Confused Matthew and Roger Ebert. It might seem hard to imagine that I like both of them, despite one's views of the other. For me, that's just a minor fact I put out of my head most of the time. The reason why I bring this up is because I wanted to start this review with a quote from Roger Ebert's review of Gone Baby Gone, which all of you know was directed by Ben Affleck, considered his directorial breakthrough. It's fitting since I'm reviewing The Town, which was also directed by Affleck. What Roger Ebert had to say about Gone Baby Gone was this. Boston seems like the most forbidding city in crime movies. There are lots of movies about criminals in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and points in between, but somehow in Boston the wounds cut deeper. The characters are angrier, their resentments bleed, their grudges never die, and they all know everybody else's business. I couldn't have said it better myself. But this really seems the angle that directors go for when making these kinds of crime films in Boston. They see the haunting old neighborhoods and weave stories around the tough street culture developed by decades of resent and pride. Affleck's from Boston, so who better to make films set in that location? First it was in Gone Baby Gone, and now it's in The Town. If half of what Affleck is telling us about growing up in Charlestown is true, then the people there must really be part of the most miserable, bitter, and sinister inner-city street culture in the States. Not because of the violence. Boston doesn't even make the top 10 list of the most dangerous U.S. cities. I'm talking more about how the people you grew up with know everything. They have the dirt on you, and they might swear on friendship and loyalty, but when push comes to shove, they will tell all to the people who want to know. They're so obsessed with their Irish macho psychobabble that an old man will be running petty rackets, hiring the very sons of the men he hired or killed, just to prove to himself that he is on top. When a guy goes to his friend in the film and asks him to help him out with beating someone up, it's hard to determine if the friend went out of friendship or because he himself is a violent thug who could be an example used in an argument that violence is inherited. Now, this is not the most realistic portrayal of Boston, I'll bet, but it makes for a great story, and if a story can carry you along, it works. It carried me along, though it almost lost me a few times. Affleck plays Doug McCrae, a man who's been brought up in crime and street life, having never seen his mother since he was 6, and now his dad's also in prison, and, according to his dad's own words, he'll have to die 5 times before he gets out. He lives with his best friend Jim, and Jim's sister Krista. Both Jim and Krista are even further in the muck of dark past and crime than Doug is. Krista's a coke addict, and Jim has had 2 strikes with the law. It doesn't help his chances that he and Doug and 2 other guys are a crew of professional criminals. They are highly skilled at what they do, proven so by the various robbery scenes in the film. They're hired by Fergus, a florist who looks and sounds like he should be on a rocking chair in Ballyvaughan or Limerick. But Fergus is one of the nastiest villains I've seen this year in films, and Pete Postlethwaite should be commended for his work in this. Anyway, so the film opens with Doug and his crew robbing a bank and taking the manager hostage. Her name's Claire, and unlike most of the other characters in the film, she's an outsider. She's also traumatized from her experience, and both those things make living in Boston a pretty bad experience. Until, of course, a nice guy bumps into her at the laundromat. Yep, it's Doug. Oh, you saw the trailer too? Claire was warned not to say a word to the cops, but that doesn't stop her being questioned by FBI agent Adam Frawley. Frawley is the kind of character I wish was played by Matt Dillon or Ethan Hawke, but John Hamm did a fantastic job with what he was given as well. The film follows all these men and how their own Boston code isn't as helpful as they'd like it to be. It's more of a cross for them to bear, and the effects of it are wearing Doug thin. Doug had several chances to escape, but he blew them all, out of arrogance, stupidity, whatever. Now he meets Claire, and he sees that he has one final shot at redemption with her. Of course, like in any movie of this sort, the truth must come out. and the past's long shadow threatens to swallow up Doug as well. The action is very well presented, with twists and turns leading to an ending that I doubt you'll see coming. A reminder that nobody goes unpunished, and there is a price to pay for past crimes. The film is filled with people who look like they were picked up off the streets of Boston, literally and figuratively in different cases. Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner carry much of the film as two buddies who clash as much as they bond, but that's to be expected with Irish Americans, if my history of films set in Boston prove anything. Rebecca Hall is a pillar of conflict and issues, as we watch her pulled and tugged between the nice guy with a secret and the FBI agent trying to find her captors. Blake Lively plays Krista as one of those women who don't find anything wrong with taking their daughter in a car while on alcohol and cocaine. I wouldn't be surprised if she lived right across from where Helen McCready did in Gone Baby Gone. The city is remarked of with bittersweet words, but there is awe in the tone of their voices. A film about purebred backgrounds is always serving as both a tip of the hat to those who belong in such an exclusive class as the Boston Irish, and a warning to the rest of us that we shouldn't be so quick to feel bad about not being in that class. That aside, the city of Boston is quickly becoming as much of a romanticized city as New York is, for closely the same reasons, with their quirky characters and their unique stereotypes. Frankly, you could keep making movies about it and they would always find audiences. And besides, it helps give the movie that special gloomy feeling, a feeling of guilt and a feeling that reminds us that no matter what we do, we'll still get burned somehow.